Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And as you can see from the title of this video, we are building a British suburban home. And now, full transparency, I have never been to Britain. I've never been to the UK. I have never been outside the country. So this is me going off of reference pictures, doing a little bit of research and asking around. I actually do know a couple of people over in Britain and they kind of weighed in a little bit too. So I was very thankful for that. But yeah, I wanted to build a British suburban home because I've been building a lot of homes and things that are influenced by Japanese culture with the pack coming out later this week, the new expansion. And I wanted to kind of expand things a little bit more because I also built a home that was kind of inspired by homes I was seeing in the Dominican Republic when we got the base game update with all of the Hispanic heritage celebration objects that we got in game. And I just want to kind of expand my horizons a bit and build some things that are representative of other countries as well. And I always want to ensure that I do them justice, so I definitely research as much as I possibly can. I don't like making assumptions, and I like asking opinions and for resources and all that fun stuff. So for this home, right off the bat, I want to note that typically what I notice is that British suburban homes are not detached like this. Typically, they're either in like pairs of two, kind of like townhomes in the US, or they are in just a huge line of being attached to multiple homes on both sides in like this really big line. And yeah, that was actually like really common from what I was seeing. However, I decided to make this completely detached just for the purposes of this build because I didn't want to make an empty shell right next to this one. You know what I mean? I did that with another build at the end of last week. It was the machiyas that I ended up making, which were the Japanese townhomes. However, I just didn't want to make an empty shell for this one. I wanted to just build a family home and have it be as representative of a lot of British suburban homes as I possibly could. But the exterior is pretty much together at this point. I did notice that shape of the home was actually super easy to kind of come up with. And though garages didn't seem to be extremely common, I wanted to add one here because I was kind of picturing number 4 Privet Drive from Harry Potter, as we all know. And they did have a little garage space, so I was like almost trying to go off of that as the main example in my head. And then I did research on a bunch of other different like suburban home setups that you might find in Britain. But yeah, anyway, I am working on the landscaping here, and the front is actually a little bit awkward. I did want to separate the driveway and kind of like the path leading towards the home, but I broke it up with a bunch of plants and a little tiny gate. I wanted to fence in the front yard, but I thought it would be a little bit too claustrophobic considering how big I wanted the backyard to be. And also transparency, I did notice that backyards for British suburban homes, especially those that are like semi-detached or not detached at all, those yards and those back gardens are fairly small. However, I like making really big backyards. So, you know, I was like, oh gosh, I want to make it as authentic as possible. I really just wanted it to be kind of inspired because I did want to make a family home with plenty of space outdoors. So bear with me as I try to figure out exactly what I did in this build. But this does end up being a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, which I was surprised about. I really didn't think I was going to be able to make a home that big. And I ended up just giving this family one child, and their bedroom is actually downstairs. So there's 1 bedroom downstairs and 2 upstairs, which I know might be a little bit unusual. But what I was thinking is that the daughter, because I think they have a child sim, and I think she's a girl, and I think that she moved her room downstairs into maybe what was an old office or something like that when her grandparents came to live with her and her parents. And her grandparents ended up taking her old bedroom upstairs because it was a little bit bigger. It was the only room that they could fit a double bed in. She only has a single bed. So that was kind of like my reason as to why there was another bedroom downstairs. But the first thing we work on is actually the living room, which I will say that everything looks very cramped, not only in the living room, but also in the kitchen. But I playtest all of my builds and everything works, and there were no issues with my sim trying to like navigate through the living space into the kitchen or using the very small dining space, basically like a little breakfast table in the kitchen. That was not an issue, and I was honestly shocked because this living room ended up being a bit more cramped than I was anticipating. However, it works perfectly, and my sim was surprisingly able to even reach the fireplace. Typically, getting to the fireplace to be able to light it with a coffee table in front of it is a challenge for my sims. I haven't figured out the exact distance away that it needs to be, but my sim was able to light the fireplace, which was great, sit down on all of the seats, which was also wonderful. And you guys will see that actually in the kitchen, I end up putting the laundry, because apparently that is also very common, is to have like the washer in the kitchen, which is totally unusual, at least in my experience, for homes in the US. However, I have been in apartments. I do not own a home or anything like that. So in being in an apartment, sometimes the layouts are a bit different. So I have lived in different parts of the country before. In one state that I lived in, I think the laundry was just like in a hallway, and actually in my current apartment now, the laundry's in the kitchen. And that is actually because this unit that I do live in is supposed to be an accessible unit for those that might be in wheelchairs or something like that. But yeah, it's in the kitchen, which I thought was actually super unusual. So hearing that that is actually very common in British homes was a surprise to me. So I learned something new. I learn something new every day, and it always makes me very happy. And I'm really enjoying learning about like different countries and I don't know, different characteristics in architecture and just even decorating styles and I don't know, just so many different things. So I did put the washer and dryer here in the kitchen. However, I also did learn that dryers might not be super common. If I am wrong, please correct me. But that was something I read as well, that typically dryers are not very common. Usually clothes are out on a line or kind of like laid about the house to go ahead and dry just naturally, which personally I wish I could do that. I wish I could just hang my clothes out on a clothesline outside, but I can't because I don't have the space to do it. However, correct me if I'm wrong, because that's kind of what I thought I caught a glimpse of. And now we're working on this little hallway that does lead to the garage as well as the bedroom downstairs for the child sim. And another thing that I actually found is that there's always a little door for underneath the stairs. Now, I know there's typically some storage underneath the staircases, and I wanted to put a door there to kind of make us imagine and pretend that there was storage under the stairs, but I couldn't make it fit because the doors are a little bit too big. But I did put a little dog door because there's always like this little hatch door. And now my ignorance is going to show here because I do not know what that is commonly there for. Like, I don't know why that's there, so please tell me. I also noticed that the heating systems in a lot of older British homes are, well, also a bit older. So there's radiators in a lot of homes, even if they are functional or not, there are still a lot that are present. So I did make sure that I put radiators in pretty much every room in this home. And now I am working on the daughter's room, and her room I think is very cute and very sweet. I think that she stereotypically loves pink and purple and stuff like that. And I do think she's a bit on the younger side. I wasn't thinking that she was like a preteen or anything like that. I was thinking maybe like 7 seems like a good age for this to still be like an appropriate, I don't know, decoration style for her bedroom. And she still has like night lights and things. So maybe she's still a little afraid of the dark, especially since her room is now no longer across the hall from like her parents. She's downstairs on the first floor. But yeah, her room is really cute. And I really like the furniture choices I made for this home. I wanted things to be a little bit more, not antique, but just a little bit more hand-me-down, a little bit older, I'd want to say, just in style. Not like beat up, not like roughly used or anything like that, but I think I kind of achieved it, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. But now I am working on the bathroom downstairs, and even though this is a very good size for a full bathroom, I wanted to just make it a half bathroom because I didn't think as though the child sim needed a full bathroom off of her room. I was thinking that this is more so the half bath that guests would use if they came over the house or something like that. And then I end up moving on to the garage as well, which I actually made into a garage. Very proud of myself. I have been making faux garages for a while, and typically I turn them into like a living room or a kitchen or something, but this time I actually felt as though I had the space to make this into a garage. So I do make it kind of like this little bit older brick on the interior, and there's just a couple of like garbage bins in here. I think I end up putting like a bicycle, I think a litter box, so I was imagining that this family also had a cat. And I think there's a woodworking bench in here. I get rid of that storage shelf unit thing there, and I keep the gardening one just because I give them a lot of gardening plots in the backyard too. And I just kind of decorate it ever so slightly. I think I put the attic like decoration storage box on the shelf as well, and I think a soccer ball, just typical things that you might find in a garage. So it isn't super exciting, but I did want to make it functional too. So you probably saw me add the additional garage door on the interior. And that one is actually the one from City Living that your Sims can make murals on, whereas the one on the exterior is from the debug menu. So there's actually an extra activity within the garage for your Sims to take part in, which I thought was kind of a nice idea. And then we move on to the second story, and this is where the parents' and grandparents' bedrooms are. They also each have their own bathroom, which I was really thrilled to be able to do. The first room that I do work on is the parents' bedroom. In my opinion, it is very plainly decorated, though since there's a pattern in the wallpaper, on the comforter, and in the curtains, there's also a lot going on here. I was kind of hoping that these patterns were subtle enough that they wouldn't really clash with one another, if that makes sense. I try to be very cognizant of that kind of stuff, but I think for this build, it still really worked because the patterns were muted enough, if that makes any sense. But yeah, their room is, I think, very pretty, and I did use a combination of mainly base game, and I think that mirrors from Get Together. So the room itself is actually very base game friendly. I don't know about the rest of the house. It probably isn't at all, but on that note, I'm actually going to try to build some more like base game homes too. I don't really like doing a lot of pack restricted builds, but a base game only build might be kind of fun to do. I haven't done one in what feels like a really long time. And here in the hallway, there are just a couple of runner rugs and a painting. I did not really decorate it at all. It was a little too small to decorate in my opinion. And then over here is actually the grandparents' bedroom. So like I mentioned, this was previously the child's room, but when grandma and grandpa came to live with them, it was a little bit too big for a child, and they decided to give that space to the grandparents, so they had a little bit of room to spread out. So they do have the double bed here, which your Sims can get to both sides of it, which is very important. They also have a dresser in a swatch that doesn't necessarily match the bed frame, but I still think it looked really nice, and hopefully you guys agree. They just have a couple of clutter items on top of their dresser, and I completely skipped filming the bedrooms, or not the bedrooms, the bathrooms that are upstairs, because they are literally identical to the one downstairs. And lastly, we move on to the backyard, which is, like I said, probably a lot bigger than what you would really see with a lot of British suburban homes, but I wanted them to have plenty of space to kind of spread out, so they really just have a couple of hedges lining the fence. There is a swing set, I believe a monkey bar set, and I think there's 6 gardening plots or something like that. It's not heavily decorated at all. In fact, I felt it was very plainly decorated, which made me uneasy at first. However, in looking at it in like the screenshots and when I was actually playtesting it, I really liked the simplicity and the lack of super colorful flowers in this particular build, and I don't know, it still felt very relaxing and homey and kind of welcoming to me, so hopefully you guys agree. But that is actually pretty much almost it for the build here, so I hope that you guys did enjoy this. Thanks for dealing with a rambly voiceover, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!
Had a few kids, bought a new house, promised you heaven, but it never did work out. Got a new job and moved uptown. I bought you everything